Before jumping into the chapter, I'm going to start off this video with a brief summary of how to take advantage of exploring and also what class and skill choices I'm going to make for my units. First off, since this is an LTC run, we're never going to touch the battle option outside of the one time we had to do the practice battle in Chapter 2. This means no paralogs and no quests, and no quests means no special merchants in the marketplace that sells monastery items. Since we're not going to have access to these merchants, we have to spend as much time in the monastery as possible finding these dropped items, especially garden seeds and fishing bait. Garden seeds will give us stat boosters, and fishing bait will allow us to catch special fish that boost certain stats for the month. We're also going to find these little excerpts everywhere that give small boosts to our professor experience, which will help us get more faculty training sooner. Also, we're not going to have many special items from paralogs, such as special drops from those chapters, the battalions you get from clearing those chapters, and the hero relics that you get. This means recruiting Sylvain as soon as possible to get his Lance of Ruin after Chapter 5 is going to be very important. Thankfully, female Byleth instantly recruits Sylvain, so we don't have to spend any faculty training on Reason. Let's quickly go over your unit choices, specifically recruitment. Sylvain is the obvious one, and is most of the reason we're using female Byleth. He's a solid early game unit with his personal, and does fine later on with Swift Strikes. The other two units we're going to be picking up, notably, are Dorothea and Ingrid. Dorothea will be simple to get since we passively acquire authority experience from battles and choir festivals, and we can play the remaining authority rank needed by ear with faculty training. Since we're going Wyvern Lord, we'll easily have the flying rank to recruit Ingrid. Lastly, we're going to be using Flame since she's given us for free, and she will likely become our dancer. There are also some faculty members we'll want to be picking up, most notably Shamir and Manuela. Shamir will be a pretty formidable offensive unit when we acquire her, and then she can transition into a bow knife for chip damage later on. As for Manuela, warp. Anyways, let's just dive into this chapter. This map starts off as a Fog of War map, but after we kill the Dark Mage in the middle, it will change into a regular map. We really only need one torch on Byleth here to reveal the Dark Mage for us, but I bought torches from my other units for safety. We finally have Stride after unlocking the battalion to go this chapter, and it will effectively shave off 2 turns for us. Since we can't kill the Dark Mage's turn because of a lack of powerful 2-range options, we're just going to pick up as many units as we can right now with Curve Shots and Lysithea. The strategy of this map is to move Byleth and Sylvain as far as possible every turn. Byleth is there to kill the goons, and Sylvain is there to kill the boss with Night Kneeler. To help them along the way, we're going to keep our combat-capable units nearby, and those guys are all going to get strided. And we're going to leave behind Lorenz, Raphael, and Marianne. Lorenz is going to be our designated strider, Marianne's going to be our physic bot, and Raphael's just kind of there. Turn 2, we're going to have Byleth whittle down the Dark Mage with the Training Sword, and have Claude finish off the Mage with Curve Shot and Steel Bow. In case one of the hits from Byleth misses, we have Ignatz on standby to deal some chip damage, but ideally we want both of Byleth's attacks to hit. After killing the Dark Mage, we're going to be in a kind of scary position, but we can just take this slow and kill as many enemies as possible before EP. I talked a little bit before about how Sylvain, Leone, and Hilda's personal skills are really good, but I really can't stress enough how good these are. Sylvain takes 2 less damage and deals 5 more damage when next to Hilda, which is monstrous. And Leone gets a solid 2 damage and takes 2 less damage when next to any male unit. Putting Sylvain and Leone side by side make them fairly tanky for EP while giving them pretty good retaliation damage. I also kind of made a small mistake in not training Raphael in Authority since he can get Rally Strength at D Authority, and I've been kind of missing it. Turn 3, we're going to start moving Byleth and Sylvain in position for Stride next turn to break through the first line of enemies guarding the boss. On the way, we're going to take out these middle enemies while aggroing the enemies west of us. It's also really important that we're moving our designated Strider, in this case Lorenz, as far as possible every turn so he can eventually catch up to the main group of units that are going to eventually kill the boss. Stride has 2 charges, and we really want to make the most of both of them. We used the first Stride charge to make sure that we could get to the Dark Mage as soon as possible and lift the fog, and we're going to use the second charge to eliminate the first line of enemies guarding the boss. The reason we're going to be using Stride at that particular moment is because that line of enemies have battalions and gambits. Since we can't really afford to have any of our units getting stunned by the gambits or even getting their stats reduced, we're going to circumvent that problem entirely by killing them on player phase. Again, we want to make the most of our turns and get in as much EXP as possible, especially with heal, but I kind of screwed up here by not putting someone in range for Physic for Marion to get EXP on, but it should be fine since Physic is limited use anyways. Turn 4 is the turn we're going to have to set up our units for Stride next turn. We're going to have to make a formation such that the necessary units fit into the Stride AoE while leaving a gap for Lawrence to fit in and use it. We have to make sure that our units are outside of the attack range of the enemies with gambits, since we don't want them aggroing on us and potentially stunning us. Right here I'm counting Lorenz's movements so I can ensure that he's going to actually be able to use Stride while making sure that the units that are going to get strided don't get hit by gambits. Vulneraries save lives. Now that I have all of my units in place, Lawrence is going to use Stride next turn on Lysithia, and it's going to hit everyone in that area, and I'm going to be able to take out that next line of enemies. Turn 5, we're going to have 7 guys strided, and we really want to make sure that we are able to take out everyone. So I'm taking my time and calculating the damage, especially in taking out that Armor Knight, since he has a lot of defense. I have a mace on my Violet, so I could have used that to kill the Armor Knight, but I want her to be as far up as possible in case I need her to kill Lonato. There's one enemy left that's next to us that we didn't get to kill in EP, but we can pretty much just ignore him since he's not in our way and he's not going to kill anyone.
I'm a bit uneasy. Ready anytime.
If it's not already kind of obvious, this is the first time that I got the strat off, and I'm taking my sweet time and making sure that I can kill everything. I'm going to be able to use Claude here for a little bit of chip damage so I can take it down with Leone. Ideally, Claude would be a lot stronger than this, because right now his physical stats are basically the same as when we got him in Prologue. But who knows, maybe I'll make him a mage or something. Both Byleth and Sylvain are now in position to be able to hit the boss next turn, most notably Sylvain with his Night Kneeler, which is going to be doing a lot of damage. Finally almost done with this chapter, turn 6. Thankfully it didn't take 9 turns like chapter 2. Sylvain is going to be doing more than enough damage to kill the boss with the help of a little bit of chip damage and personal skills, so we're going to spend the rest of the turn maximizing our EXP gain.
You have been...
By the way, plus 5 HP is really good, and you're going to have it equipped as an ability for most, if not the entire game. The only reason I didn't get it on my Byleth is because I really want her to get speed, and she probably won't die. This is hard mode. Kind of wish I had Helm Splitter when I needed it against the Armor Knight, but it didn't end up mattering. Now that we checked that Sylvain can actually finish the boss off, we're going to use up the rest of our unit's turns to maximize EXP. In the end, we didn't even need Violet to touch the boss, so we're just going to use her personal skill to get a little bit more XP. I think this is the first decent level up on Claude in 6 levels, which is insane, given he's supposed to be my second best unit. I could honestly still make him a mage and he'll do fine. And a pretty solid level up to finish off this chapter. All in all, thanks to Stride, this is a lot less tedious than Chapter 2. And that is going to be Chapter 3 in 6 turns.